Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about cravings. We're going to talk all about what a craving is, what causes a craving, when you have one, what's happening to you, and if you are having them, what to do and how to deal with them. So welcome. If you are new to my channel, subscribe. We're here for you. We talk all about weight loss, weight control, and mostly what I talk about is keeping the weight off. That is my whole focus, and that is why I am coming to you right now. So let's jump right in. Today we're talking cravings. So what is a craving? When you say the word craving, what does that mean to you? So now it means something different to all of us, but generally what that means is that you're having a desire for something that's pretty strong. And a craving, they come in varying strengths, but a craving also sort of has a connotation of an addiction because it makes it sound like it's something your body needs. That it's not just like, oh, I would like that, but you're craving it, you want it, you need it. So craving. So what is it? Like, why do we have a craving? What happens that causes a craving? And this is important for you to understand when you're trying to control your weight, because cravings can seemingly come out of nowhere. They really don't, but it can seem that way. So let's talk about some of the things that can cause cravings. One of the big ones is that you see food, the seafood diet, right? You see a food somewhere. So if you watch TV, if you're online, if you're basically anywhere, if you're driving around, you're likely to see an ad for food somewhere. And just know that when you see an ad for food, that food has full hair and makeup going on. Okay, that is not a no makeup selfie of this food. Trust me. There are people who are called food stylists. If you don't know about them, it's an entire career of food stylists whose job it is to make food look appealing for commercials. And when they're doing that, it's generally not edible. So what they do is, in order to make, say, a shiny tart look shinier, they put lacquer on the tart, right? So these are food stylists. So when you're seeing ads for food, this food has hair and makeup. So it looks gorgeous, right? It's not just like, oh, look, some berries. They're shiny and beautiful and bright, and they look just at the peak of their ripeness, these berries. So when you're seeing these foods that are being advertised, you're seeing them in it's almost beyond their glory, because they're made up to look better than they actually look. So this is what you see when you see food. And this can trigger a craving. Just seeing something can cause you to crave that thing, especially if that thing is presented beautifully. So that's one thing. You might read something. Here's an example on Facebook. Let's just say I'm a part of this group that is, I grew up in Pacific Palisades, so the group is called Palisades Remember When, okay? And it's all about, the past places and things we used to do and go and all of that. It's fun. Anyway, so I posted on there about how I was wishing that these places that are now gone were still there so that we could go and have a hot fudge sundae at Will Wright's and CC Brown's. And so for those of you who are in Los Angeles or grew up here, CC Brown's was, I think it was its only one store. It was run by a family. It was in Hollywood. They had the best hot fudge on the planet. So CC Brown's, and Will Wright's was also, I think, a local ice cream store, also really great hot fudge. So I commented about that. And, people were saying, oh, I remember this, that. And then someone said, I hadn't had a hot fudge sundae in so many years, and now I read this, and now I am craving one so bad I'm going to have to go and do the deed, he said. So I kind of felt badly, and I hope this doesn't trigger you watching this video to have a hot fudge sundae, but let's use it as an example. Let's just say it does. Okay, now, here you are, you come to watch a weight loss video and you're being triggered by me. And I'm sorry about that, but we need to use it for the example. So, okay. So now you mind your own business, you're actually trying to do something good for yourself and you get triggered. So what's happening? Let's look at what's going on. You hear me say it. Okay, if you happen to remember the places that I just mentioned, you're going to go there in your mind. So you're going to have what we call food memory. Sometimes food memories can be a huge craving trigger. You know, something will remind you of a time when you were little and you know, that makes you feel really good and there was this food there, and that's a food memory that is associated with something happy, right? So let's say you remember these places, and so now you have the memory of what I'm actually speaking about, and these, trust me, these were really good. So now you're craving it, you're picturing it, you're kind of wishing you could go there. This guy said he knew a place where he could go and do the deed. Okay, so he pictured it, thought about it. Now let's talk about what happens when you picture the food that you're going to end up craving. When we talk about craving a food, we're generally not talking about broccoli or apples or scrambled eggs. Usually not. We're usually talking about a high fat, high salt, high sugar food, which the processed foods are the foods that cause our brains to excrete dopamine and the hormones and chemicals that are excreted when we do drugs of abuse, like alcohol, cocaine. And so it lights up the reward centers of our brain in such a way that it turns us on. We get excited, we get happy just from thinking about the food and picturing it. Okay, so now we're picturing this food, in this case a hot pot sundae, because thank you very much, Irene. And we're picturing it and we're thinking about having it. So now just talking about this and picturing it, the dopamine is going and you're starting to kind of get happy about it. And then this is going to vary depending on you. We all are sort of at different degrees of addiction or of, you know, being in love with certain things. So you're going to start to want this thing. The chemicals are going to start to go, and there's going to be a pull toward it, which we're going to call craving. And you might start fantasizing about it, and then there's going to be this desire to have it. Okay, so this is what we say a craving. And in this case, what triggered you was me, or you read something, or you saw something, or something was there. That's one of the biggest triggers. And that's why if you go to, you know, Starbucks or the market or any place where there is food, all the food right by the counter, they call it impulse food. You can even see it on your register at Starbucks. They used to have it say impulse food. And it was like the little packages of cookies that look innocent, right by the register, because, oh, you know, they're just impulse food. So you might see an impulse food and there you go, right? You want it, you're going to crave it. So, all right, now let's just say you're trying to control your weight and you don't want to give in to this craving, because if you give in to every single craving that you have, you will never get to your weight loss goal. All right, so let's just say we're having this craving and we're not going to have the food. What do we do? How do we work with this craving? How do we deal with it so that we don't end up having a hot pot sundae that we don't really want to have? And if you hadn't heard about it, it wouldn't have come up for you at all. So you know that's not really something you want. It's just something that was put there. And now you want it because it's on your mind, but it's not really something you want or need. So let's say we're not going to have this food. We're not going to feel deprived if we don't have it, if we can work through the craving. So here's a way that you can do that. Okay, we're having this craving and you say to yourself, I want this food. You don't say to yourself, I don't want this food, oh, it's not, you know, because you do. It's really not good to lie to yourself, because you know, right? So I want this food. Okay. Now, what we tend to say to ourselves, and this is a lie, and this is not what I recommend, we tend to say, oh, I can't have that. I'm on a diet, or I'm watching my weight, or it's too many calories, or whatever the actual truth is about why you don't really want to have that. But what you're saying is, I can't have that. That isn't true. So you don't want to say that to yourself. No, can't have. What you want to say to yourself is, I can't have it. because that's generally true about whatever it is. Now, we can't go have a Will Wrights or a CC Brown's Hot Fudge Sundae anymore because they're gone, unfortunately. But we could get something similar, right? So to say, well, I can't have it isn't true. And it makes you want it more. So, the truth is, I can have it. Okay, so you say to yourself, I want it, I can have it, but I choose not to have it to get, and then you list the benefits that you would get if you resist this particular craving. And here's the way how you do that. First of all, you think about, why am I even listening to Irene right now? Why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to keep it off? Well, let's list the benefits there. Mostly it's either health or vanity or both. So I'm going to look better, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to live longer, I'm going to dress better, I'm going to be able to walk, I can get up off the floor. Your list would be unique to you. But something along those lines would be your list of benefits that you get for resisting that craving. Okay, so I want the hot fudge sundae. I can have the hot fudge sundae, but I'm choosing not to because I want to, and then you read your list. I want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to eat better, I want to live longer, your list. So that will help you work through a craving as it's in motion if it happens to you while you're out and about and you're minding your own business. So that's craving working through number one. Now, let's just say that you're craving something really, really badly. You really want this food, desperately, desperately need to have this food. Okay, and if you don't get this food, you're going to end up really being deprived. You're going to feel deprived. Do you know you're going to feel deprived? You just know in your gut that if I do not have this food right now, I am going to end up eating everything else in sight and end up finding this food eventually, and then there you already had all those calories of all this other food and the food that you were craving too. So that's the kind of craving, and this really takes knowing yourself and working with yourself when you're away for some period of time to know when you're craving something that if you don't have, you're going to pay for it in other ways than if you go straight to it. So let's just say you're craving something and you need it in some way, or you're going to eat other things and regret it. So you figure out a way to have that thing in a small quantity so that it won't cause too much caloric damage for you. So in the case of a hot fudge sundae, you would want to go somewhere that will serve you a kid's portion of ice cream with a little hot fudge, right? So you can get a relatively small amount of this food. Have it out somewhere. You know what I mean by that is don't buy a gallon of ice cream and a hot fudge and bring that home, because that's all going to go down, right? Eventually, you're bringing home all of those calories that you will end up eating. So if you need to have a craving, satisfy it in a safe way. And in this case, so you'd want to go out to wherever there's to get ice cream near you and get something really small, a kid-sized hot fudge sundae maybe. Have it, figure out how many calories are in it, and enjoy every bite. Eat slowly, focus on the food while you're eating it, and make it wonderful, because these foods really are kind of wonderful, which is why we have a problem with them. We like them too much. But there are ways to still enjoy these foods and not go crazy with them. So that's one way to do it. All right, so I think today we've covered what causes craving, what happens to you when you're having a craving, what to say to yourself, how to work through a craving, and different types of cravings. So I think for today that's pretty much what we got on cravings to share with you. And as I said, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. My name's Irene Rubom Keller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I'm the author of the book Foodaholic, The 7 Stages to Permanent Weight Loss. I'll put a link in the description box below if you'd like to get that book. I work with people virtually on Zoom privately as well, and if you'd like to work with me privately, there'll be a link as far as how to do that below as well. And so that's it for today. Take care.